You guys have been asking for it. Today, I'm going to deliver my early WrestleMania 40 match card predictions. Let's get into it. Now, full disclaimer, this is not going to be me fantasy booking all of night one, all of night two. We'll probably do a video like that closer to November, December, like we did last year, where it's a little bit clearer what the WrestleMania card might be. But what this video is going to be is the top 8 matches, some of the top championships, some of the top names, storylines that I think can make their way, one way or another, meaning night 1 or night 2, on to WrestleMania 40 next April. So let's start with the obvious, and that of course being what will main event WrestleMania Sunday. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. We have been beating this match to death in like every other video here on the channel, talking about the possibility of Cody beating Roman retaining, maybe the Bloodline Fatal 4-Way instead. But at the end of the day, you guys want my predictions, what I would do. Cody versus Roman is the way to go in the main event of next year's WrestleMania, with Cody Rhodes defeating Roman Reigns to become the new undisputed champion. At the end of the day, is there possibly other options? Sure, we've speculated on them, but what should be done is Cody versus Roman. That's what I would do. That's what I would do at WrestleMania Sunday. And to continue on with the Bloodline, let's talk Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Now, I made a video last week talking about why I think they are running this whole Jey Uso, giving his deuces on SmackDown and dipping out of there. And I do think that was to delay them inevitably having Jey versus Jimmy one-on-one. And earlier in the week, last week, before the first SmackDown after SummerSlam, there was all the reports going around that some people in creative wanted to stretch Jey versus Jimmy until WrestleMania 40. Then we saw SmackDown, and to me, it kind of correlated to that. So I do think we will get Jey versus Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania 40. And even there's a possibility, like Roman still doing his own thing in the main event, but Jey versus Jimmy, but maybe we get Solo Sikoa as well. Maybe it's going to be a triple threat matchup. Not exactly sure. I mean, right now, I would probably just go Jey versus Jimmy. I think it just feels more like a big deal. I feel like, obviously, Solo being in there makes a lot of sense, but it feels a little bit forced. I would go Jey versus Jimmy, but I could see the possibility of Solo being added in, making it a brother versus brother triple threat match. But at the end of the day, Solo's kind of the X factor. The story will be about Jey versus Jimmy, so that's what I think will end up on WrestleMania 40. What about the World Heavyweight Championship match for Monday Night Raw? Now, there's a couple factors here. There's honestly a handful of names that I could see ending up in the world title match at WrestleMania. Damian Priest, Mr. Money in the Bank right now, gonna cash in, I think, successfully. What I would personally do is, and this is in the lead up to WrestleMania as well, have Damian Priest cash in the briefcase October, November time. Honestly, the sooner the better. That way you can have a little bit longer of a reign with it. And then I'd have him drop it back to Seth Rollins around the Royal Rumble, if not at the Royal Rumble. And Seth Rollins goes into WrestleMania to defend the World Heavyweight Championship. And as for his opponent, none other than the Ring General Gunther. Gunther, he very well might go into WrestleMania still the Intercontinental Champion and having this match for the world title, trying to become a double champion. However, I do think he will drop the Intercontinental Championship maybe before the end of the year. I do think he'll break the reign in just a matter of weeks, become the longest reigning champ of all time. But maybe Survivor Series, December, maybe the beginning of next year, Gunther drops the Intercontinental Championship. But I think Gunther a top candidate to win the Royal Rumble match. And if he does, him versus Seth Rollins, I think is the best case scenario match quality wise for WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. And since I mentioned Damian Priest and his Money in the Bank briefcase, yes, I do think he will cash in successfully when he does, and I do see that causing issues within the Judgment Day. And you know what, let me throw this out as well. There's very much a chance that Damian Priest doesn't cash in until after WrestleMania next year, but if Gunther leaves WrestleMania 40 as world champ, I don't see him having that short of a reign with it. So not to go on that whole tangent, but just throw that out there. But honestly, whether Damian Priest cashes in successfully or not, wins the world title or not, I think Damian Priest and Finn Balor's tension will continue to rise, and I do believe they will have that split towards the end of the year, with the intention of having Priest versus Balor as one of the marquee Monday Night Raw matches on WrestleMania next year. Who's the babyface? Pick your poison. I think most likely it will be Damian Priest, with Finn Balor alongside JD McDonough, Dominic, Rhea still being a part of the Judgment Day. Damian Priest, the guy going out on his own. And maybe if Damian Priest is still the Money in the Bank holder at WrestleMania, he can defeat Finn Balor on whichever night, and that can kind of be looked at as one of those big first singles victories for babyface Damian Priest before he cashes cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase. Who knows? Maybe Damian's going to cash it in at WrestleMania next year. That's a whole different conversation, but as for Priest and Balor, I see them going one-on-one at WrestleMania. And then to talk about the other two Judgment Day members, Dominic and Rhea. As for Dominic Mysterio, I could very much see a rematch versus Rey happening at WrestleMania. Now, Rey Mysterio has said in recent interviews in the last couple of years that I think he's going to wrestle until 50, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but he either turns 50 this December or next December. So whichever one it is, I don't expect Rey Mysterio to have that much longer of an in-ring career, and I think the most perfect situation is for him to lose to his son Dominic and then retire afterwards. So I'm not saying that's going to happen at WrestleMania 40, but regardless of that whole retirement situation, Dominic versus Rey I think is definitely on the table for next year, with the simple storyline being that Dominic still feels some type of way about his father beating him at WrestleMania 39. He wants the payback, he wants the win back. They run it back at WrestleMania 40. Again, retirement for Rey Mysterio or not, all that put aside, I think Rey versus Dominic is still on the table, and it's a very simple story to tell, so I could definitely see it happening. And then as for Rhea Ripley, you know, the main match that everyone's been pointing out, and that does make a lot of sense, is her versus Becky Lynch, the two biggest names, if you will, on the Monday Night Raw women's division for the Women's World Championship. If that happens, I'm all for it, I guess, but at the same time, like, I'm so ice cold, and as I know a lot of people are, I'm so ice cold on Becky Lynch right now. This Trish Stratus storyline has been abysmal. And I've beaten that to death. I'm not going to go into that whole tangent. I can't wait till they wrap it up, and maybe between the end of that feud and WrestleMania, Becky can start feeling like the Becky Lynch of old again. That's very much a possibility, but this whole Trish Stratus feud has just put a sour taste in my mouth, and when I think about WrestleMania next year, I'm like, if Becky versus Rhea happens, like, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be a really good matchup, but like, honestly, I think there's better options. I really one better option on Monday Night Raw that I think in place of Becky Lynch is a much more popular, consistent talent that no matter whether she's in the opening match, job it out to a Rhea Ripley, or she's winning a tag team championship, or whatever they want to do, Liv Morgan's always popular, man, no matter what she's doing. Women's champion, tag champion, job it out, like I said, always popular amongst the crowd, and a lot of history between her and Rhea Ripley that can play into right now with her and Raquel Rodriguez. But I think Liv versus Rhea would be a hell of a WrestleMania match. I know that may be a little out of left field, but they got history, current history, final two in the Rumble last year when Rhea joined the Judgment Day. It just feels like they've been intertwined here and there over the last couple of years. What better way to conclude that, if you will, than having Liv versus Rhea at WrestleMania 40? That's honestly the match I would do. I think it's the better match. I think there's a better story. I think more people be intrigued about it, especially Liv possibly winning the title, but Becky versus Rhea is probably what they'll go for. I'll throw both of those at you. What I want though is Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, but remains to be seen. Two more things to talk about. One's an actual match, which is why I rounded it at 8 matches at the beginning of this video, and the other thing's just kind of some overall ideas, but let's talk about that last match. One match that I would love to see, and I think is very WrestleMania worthy, LA Knight versus Logan Paul. They got a little bit of history. We saw it in the lead up to Money in the Bank. Some great promos, you know, just in that lead up. But you know, if they were to go one-on-one, they would take it to the next level. One of the most hated guys, one of the most loved guys, one-on-one of the biggest show of the year. It's honestly Wrestling 101. It just makes the most sense in the world. I think it'd be freaking great, man. It doesn't need any championships. All it needs is one calling out the other, and there you go. The build alone would be worth it. The build might be better than the match, but you know the match would be kick-ass, because every time Logan Paul's in the ring, it's awesome, and LA Knight's LA Knight. So like, I would love to see, I think it's a perfect match for both guys at WrestleMania 40, and Logan Paul could win and be one of the, and really continue to be one of the biggest heels, but my god, would their reaction be absurd, and then vice versa, would the reaction be absurd if LA Knight beat Logan Paul? So I think it's a great idea. I think they should definitely save LA Knight versus Logan Paul for WrestleMania, and realistically, Royal Rumble season is probably the next time we're going to see Logan Paul, because I'm pretty sure he's got a boxing fight coming up in October, so I'm sure he's going to be out for a while. So have him come back in the Rumble, maybe have LA Knight eliminate him, and there you go. There's the kickoff to the WrestleMania feud. LA Knight versus Logan Paul. I think it's perfect for both guys for next April. And then I wanted to talk about Brock Lesnar. I don't have any specific match here, but I'm sure it looks like the next time we're going to see Brock is Royal Rumble WrestleMania season, just like Logan Paul. So really, who's left for Brock Lesnar to fight? You know, a lot of people want to see the Gunther matchup. If Gunther does not challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania, whether he's still the Intercontinental Champion or not, him versus Brock Lesnar could absolutely happen. It was rumored to happen this year, and then obviously they went a different route, which I was all fine with. But Gunther versus Lesnar, possibly at Mania 40. Hell, I'd love to see Brock Lesnar versus versus Logan Paul. I think that's perfect for a Saudi show. It just screams it to me, but like I would take it at WrestleMania as well. I'd love to see Brock versus Solo Sikoa, honestly. I don't know what Solo's going to be doing at WrestleMania. I threw out the idea that maybe he'll be involved with his brothers, but if not, Solo versus Brock I think would be a kick-ass match. God only knows what's next for Edge. I just uploaded a video last night talking about possible retirement, staying in WWE, going to AEW. Who knows what Edge is going to be doing, and who knows if Edge would even want to wrestle a physicality style of match like Brock Lesnar brings to the table. But if so, Edge versus Lesnar obviously screams WrestleMania. I don't know, I think there's a good chunk of ideas. Let me know down below in the comments. I'll throw that out to you guys, as well as just posting your WrestleMania match card predictions. But specifically, who do you guys want to see Brock Lesnar wrestle next year at WrestleMania 40? Like I said earlier, I'll probably make another video a couple of months from now talking about my full night 1, night 2 match card predictions for WrestleMania. But until then, we'll continue to do what we've been doing, talking about it here and there, talking about the big matches, the main event, and just what I think is going to happen in WWE in the near future, like we always do. But be sure to like and subscribe as well, and go follow me across all social medias at Noah Nation Vlogs, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.